If I had seen a video like the one I'm going to do right now, if I'd seen this a few years ago, it could have saved me so much heartache and sorrow and a few hospital visits. So I hope you will join me today and watch my video.
Richmond, Virginia, the story starts 1848 on the Ides of March. Jackson Meriwether, born into the tether, to work the land and never live to see a dime. He had a better plan, to be a Union man, to make a run across that Mason-Dixon line. He heard tell about a railway underground, running through the night and always northern bound. When I go, I'll die a free man, in a place where I belong. Virginia falling, Pennsylvania, you are calling me home. Go on home. On the day he left the South.
I'm so happy to see you. Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming back and seeing me and Desi. Did you have a good week? Well, I hope so. I had a pretty good week. I was busy. I had a little plumbing issue that I had to take care of, all fixed. I had my gutters cleaned over my little sunroom, and I had my teeth cleaned. Yeah, that was my least favorite thing to do. But you know, the dentist asked me, how has your health been lately? And nobody ever asks you that. So I just had to think, how has my health been? And for the last 6 months, I have been healthier than I can remember in years. So what I wanted to do today is share with you some of the things that I have put in motion. And they have been game changers for me, and I hope they'll be game changers for you. I also wanted to show you a couple of fall things that I got. And lastly, I wanted to share with you something special that I picked up at the thrift store. And you know how once a year, I will pick up something at the thrift store, and it's like a message for all of us. I know it sounds corny, but I swear it happens once a year, and it's so special. So I want to share with you at the end of the video something that stopped me in my tracks at the thrift store. When you get to be our age, it is no big deal that we have some acid reflux or our stomach hurts from certain food. And what do? Or what I did is I took a lot of Tums and Maalox. What was happening is I was coating my stomach to the point where I stopped getting the nutrients from my food. So I started to have, a little bit of fogginess and fatigue. I started to get neuropathy and tingling in my hands and in my feet. I started to put on weight. I could not figure out what was going on. Plus, this huge nosedive in my mood. And I got really scared. And I ended up in the hospital. And my blood test came back, and yeah, I needed B12. I needed B12 and I needed potassium. I will always remember being in the ER and watching my feet go into cramps. And the nurse came in and she said, I've seen that before, and that's a deficiency. That's some type of B12 deficiency. And she was right. My doctor sat me down and he said, I do not want you to take Tums and Maalox ever again in the same day. So take your Tums, limit them to the least amount that you can, and I want you to take a B12 supplement. And this is just a supplement that I get. I take 3,000 IUs per day. But you want to talk to your doctor and see what he thinks about that amount. But You can't really overdose on B12 because your body sloughs off any excess, but you still want to talk to your doctor about it. Within 4 weeks of me taking my B12, my mood comes up. I start losing a little bit of weight. My skin is so much brighter. I just cannot believe the difference in my sleep and in my energy. So, no, are things perfect? No. But the amazing effects of B12 where I'm no longer getting so super dehydrated, because that's one of the effects when you are low on B12. Your body just, it doesn't work. Things that would normally work, they don't. Always succeeded, but I've tried to lead a healthy life. But a few years ago, I accidentally almost poisoned myself. And well, how it started is I wanted to lose a little weight, and I read that if you chew sugarless gum, that helps you lose weight. And I thought, well, that's for me. So I went out and I got my Trident cinnamon sugarless gum, and at first I chewed 1 pack a day. And then after a while, 2 packs a day. And then after a while, maybe even 3 packs a day. I was always chewing it, but I was losing weight. And you know what? I was also dehydrated all the time. My blood sugar was way up or way down. I developed hypoglycemia. I had stomach cramps. I was always running to the bathroom. And the sorbitol that was in that gum was like a poison to me. And it builds up in your system. So the more I chewed, the more I wanted to chew, and the sicker I got. And you don't, when you're sick like that, you don't think to yourself, it's the gum. You don't think like that. I had no idea. I never heard of sorbitol. I saw a video by Lisa J. Do you know who she is? She has the BK Beauty makeup brushes, and she's just a doll. And she did a whole video on how she was poisoned by aspartame. Now that's something different than sorbitol, but they're in the same family. So I didn't want you to think it was just me. At my age, Lisa was very young when this happened to her, and she ended up in the hospital. So these things are very, very real. Now, I have IBS. I've had IBS ever since I was in my 20s. People with IBS are 100 times more likely to have a horrible complication with sorbitol than your average Joe. So if you're wondering, why am I cramping? Why am I running to the bathroom? Why am I dehydrated? Why am I getting these headaches? Well, at least I'm losing weight. I mean, are you chewing sugarless gum? If you go around and let's say you go out and a friend goes, hey, pick me up some Trident sugarless cinnamon gum, chances are it won't be there. It'll be all sold out. Whatever they put in that gum, it is so addictive. At least it was for me. It might not have killed me. But what price are you willing to pay to lose weight or to kill your appetite? I don't know a whole lot about these weight loss drugs, but I have heard that something like Ozempic, the reason it works is because it makes you too ill to eat. You feel sick, nauseated, just like how I felt on sorbitol. Somebody just walked by with her shirt off. Oh, wow. It's like that old Lenny Bruce joke. She was wearing a see-through dress, but you didn't want to. It isn't like we have to look younger. We just want to look our best, right? No matter how we feel or how old we are, we just want to look our best. So, we get the hair going and the makeup and some fashion. And you know what we forget? We forget our voice. So you have this smashing, absolutely gorgeous woman walk in the room with her lovely camel coat. And then she says, "Hi, everybody. How are you doing?" I mean, no, we don't want the dreaded older woman voice. We just don't. So, does anybody talk about this? I don't know. But I've always been so fearful that I would lose my speaking voice, that I would lose my timbre, that I would lose my volume. And because I love to sit and play the piano and sing my songs, not being able to have enough air to produce a sound, not having enough dexterity or strength in my vocal cords, not to be able to speak or to sing is just a nightmare to me. That just can't happen. So what I've always done is you have to vocalize and you have to do your exercises because your vocal cords are just like any other muscle in your body. So, you go to the gym for your vocal cords to keep them strong. So sometimes when we live alone, we'll go a couple days, we actually won't have a conversation with another human being. So other than our dog or our cat, but we got to talk. And if that means talking to ourselves, or if that means finding 4 or 5 of our favorite songs and then we sing along with the song. My point is we need to exercise those muscles in our throat. We need to take great big breaths in. You just inhale all that air through your nose and then breathe it out through pursed lips. Keep doing that so you get that air going in your lungs. Of course, that extra oxygen is just going to kick butt as far as you're going to feel amazing. So you've got that oxygen in your lungs and you've got your vocal cords warmed up. So when you say hello to somebody, when you walk into the room looking just fabulous, you can say, hi, Harry, how are you doing? I mean, okay, you wouldn't drop an octave. But you'd have strength in your voice. You wouldn't sound like, "Oh, Andy, I wouldn't do that if I were you." We don't want Aunt B. God bless her. I get in trouble every time I say anything bad about Aunt B. I loved Aunt B. But I mean, really, the voice, "Oh, Andy," we don't want that. All you have to do every day, set aside 10, 15 minutes and sing. Now you say, "Well, I can't sing." Who cares? I can't sing very well anymore, okay? But I still do it. Sing to your dog. Please use your vocal cords. Maybe you don't want to sing, so maybe recite something for 15 minutes. Just make sure that those vocal cords every single day are warmed up. And don't speak in a very soft, sweet voice, a big voice. Something that they can hear across the room, a big booming, well, okay, I don't have a big booming voice anymore, but my voice is not rattling. A lot of people are afraid of the doctor, and they're especially afraid of the dentist. I know I was. I put it off whenever possible. And at the very time in my life that I need to be going to the dentist all the time, I said, no, that's too much stress. Until I had a tooth die on me, and I had to have it pulled. And that was right around March. Now, January, February, March was when I was my sickest. I asked my dentist, "Is you taking out that infected tooth, is that what helped my health?" And she said, "Absolutely." She said, "Gum disease, an infection that leads to all kinds of health problems, especially for seniors, diabetes, heart attacks, stroke, dementia, all that has something to do with your mouth, your gums. You need to have great dental hygiene, not good dental hygiene, but great dental hygiene for you, for overall, for you to be healthy. Oh my God, really? That is amazing. So instead of getting my teeth cleaned every 6 months, I get my teeth cleaned every 5 months. She said also, when I am brushing my teeth and I use a mouthwash, only use a mouthwash that says anti-cavity, which I didn't know existed before, so I do that. I was asking some of my older neighbors here, just casually, I said, I know this is kind of a weird question, but how often do you get your teeth cleaned and polished? How often do you do that? Most of their answers were, oh, it's been about 3 years. I go about every 3 years. Please don't do that. Please at least go once every 6 months. But that infection or that bacteria that they're going to get out of your gums between your teeth, when they get that out of there, that could save your life. So many of us have complications with pneumonia, and we aspirate the infection that is found in our mouth, in our gums, and that goes down to our lungs, and that kills us. So please, please, take care of your gums and take care of your teeth. Your life could depend on it. Absolutely. This is the most beautiful fall scarf I've ever seen. It has blues and oranges and yellows and just that beautiful, beautiful type of tan. It's just so gorgeous. I love this scarf so much. I got this on Amazon and I'm going to order a couple more in different colors. But isn't this beautiful? I also got an email this week, and it was from a lovely lady named Pam, and she is 74 years old, and she spent a little too much money, she said, on an easel, brushes, paints, and she wants to paint. And she said she got inspired by some of the artwork that I showed months and months ago. And she is loving every second that she's teaching herself how to paint. And I saw some of her work and it was lovely. So she was confronted by her daughter and her son, and they were having dinner, and they're a close family, but the daughter said, Mom, where do you think you're going with that? You're 74 years old. What do you think you're going to be? Some big artist? Mom, you got things to do, You probably should think about downsizing, Mom. You got a big house with a lot of stuff in it. Why are you bringing in all this art stuff? Pam said she went home and she cried into her pillow all night long. She was so hurt on so many different levels. I felt like somebody had punched me when I read that email. So I headed off to the thrift store, which is the equivalent of probably somebody else pouring themselves a stiff drink. And when I walked into the thrift store, I walked into Goodwill, I saw this painting. This painting of the lighthouse is from an artist that lived in Muskegon, and her name was Kathy Fenchka. And she passed away at 83, in, I believe it was 2017. And I had never heard of this artist, but it was such a lovely picture. I mean, it was a lovely piece of art that she created. And it spoke to me because in the picture, there's this beautiful lighthouse in the water, and yet it takes you so far away from the beauty, and it puts you into this sort of isolation of the fence and the beach, and so you can't see the beauty of the lake. You can see a hint of it. So there was a great feeling of being just on the verge of being able to touch something great, but you're not quite there. So I took it home and I researched who Kathy was. She led a life that was so full. She was a teacher. She was an educator. She was an amazing artist who later on, in her 70s, opened up her own art gallery and was incredibly successful. She also was a wife. She was a mother. She was a grandmother. She loved the Tigers. She loved MSU. She loved ice fishing. She played tennis. She supported the theater. She worked for the symphony. I could go on and on. Kathy did everything. She was amazing. She sat on boards, advisory boards for the city. I didn't even know you could do that, but apparently they love older people to sit on boards. Sign me up. When I thought back to the letter that I had gotten about how the family wasn't very supportive of Pam and her art, it made it so clear to me that we are never too old to do anything. We're never too old to begin. And that's an important lesson for people to know. We already know it, but so many others don't. And even though I read that amazing tribute to Kathy Fenty, the woman who, I feel so happy that I have this piece of art that she did and that she signed this beautiful watercolor in her happiness. Because she must have had an amazingly happy life. There was a hint in her watercolor of something just out of reach. Something that she wanted, but it was just out of reach. And I can understand that. And I can live that.
Oh, Pam, I hope you're here tonight. I've spent so much time this week thinking about you. And I can't wait to showcase some of your beautiful paintings, and perhaps someday you'll have your own gallery. Please, please don't stop. Please don't stop painting. When we love someone, like a child or like a parent, we want the best for them. And when they tell us what they want to do, their dreams, we always will say, be careful. Be very careful, because we're afraid for them. We're afraid that if they love something so much and try so hard at something, that if they fail, they'll never recover. I think that's probably how your children feel, Pam. We are never too old to begin, and we're never too young to end something that's bad for us and to find a different path.
50% off your first box, available only at thefarmersdog.com.
And thank you so much for your concern last week when I got spooked when I was walking in the woods. There was something there, that there was somebody there that was hiding, and that was enough to make me run home. So I'm not going to be walking in the woods alone anymore, I promise. I will have Desi with me, and hopefully a friend or a family member. But yeah. Hey everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I really enjoyed this video today, and I hope maybe something I said might make a difference in your life. Let me know in the comments if I said anything that resonated with you. Please have yourself a wonderful, happy, safe, brand new week. And when you're done with your week, come back and see me and Desi, okay? All right, it's a deal. We'll be here. You take care of yourself.
Martha came from off the farm, ran right up, jumped in my arms. I said, "You're coming home with me today." Martha, you're the sweetest girl, an angel sent down to this world. I love you more than words could ever say. Every day's a new beginning, life is just a game you're winning. Every time you look and open